myself to the stage, and I'm there. I mean, to text one person. This is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Let me get my phone real quick. Okay, I'm back. I had to negotiate something, which was kind of funny. I'm trying to tell my daughter to jump on. I was busy. Sorry I was late. I didn't mean for that to happen, but I had an opportunity to grab a lot of really, really good topsoil. They're doing some county road work down the street, and we had a flood, and they're redoing the culverts, and there's all this really, really good topsoil. And I asked them if I could have it, and the foreman got really upset, frustrated. And I said, I'm just asking. And then he came by again because I was in my skid steer. And he says, I'm sorry, my boss says we can get rid of it. So where do you want it? I go, I want it all right there. So, and I had to line that out and get a few things organized for him. So I'm probably going to get 10, 15 truckloads of really, really, really good topsoil that I can use on this property and some other properties I'm working around here, because I'm ground central for a fire that happened. If you haven't noticed, I live in a home that survived a fire. And so we're building and restoring a lot of homes real locally here. And so it was great. I'm very happy. You can't get clean topsoil because everywhere you go up here, that's a nice boulder. That's a nice boulder. Just rocks and boulders everywhere. You dig in a backhoe anywhere, boulders everywhere. So it hasn't been very easy. And getting that kind of topsoil is a godsend. It would be about $450 to $650 a truckload if I were to bring it up here in the mountain. So I'm going to get about 15 truckloads of it for $0. And I asked the guys, do you want some pizza or something? Yes, we're okay. So I'm going to go get them some pizza tomorrow and give them a big thank you for that. So that's why I'm late. Let's take a few questions, and hopefully my daughter will join on. And then I have a couple of thoughts to talk to you about, and it has to do with leadership with regard to owner builders and that kind of presence that you need to make, and make it quick and fast. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but let's take some questions real quick, and I want to jump into that because I have a lot of things on my mind right now. So this one here is from Winter 507. Should I purchase jamb extensions for all my exterior doors because my walls are 6-inch, or have the drywall people take care of it on the inside? A really interesting question. It's really a 2x6 wall, but it's really 5 inches and 5.5 inches. That's really what the thickness of the wall is. You really don't need to have any jamb extensions on there, depending upon what exterior you're putting on your home. The only time you need extensions really, or flashing, is when you have some insulation or added thickness on the outside that is going to go past the jamb extension or past the window. And that way you need to flash that. I've talked a lot about that on some other videos, but I don't think you would need the jamb extensions on that. And unless you're putting something on the exterior that I don't know about. Typically, when you buy a door that's pre-hung, it has what's called a brick molding on it. And you basically put the door, install it from the outside in, you put it right on, and that brick molding will affix right to sheeting or whatever. And then you can put your hardy or shiplap or stucco right up to that brick molding, or you can do a kerf design, and that's a long story. It's hard to communicate, but just look up kerf doors and you'll see that's another option as well. Or you just take off the brick molding entirely, and a lot of people do that and put something on that takes paint better. That the brick molding or the brick mold on those doors is not that great. It doesn't take paint very well, and it weathers really, really quick. So I always rip them off and put some hardy material and wrap my doors around with that. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, thank you for the thumbs up. I do appreciate that. That's awesome. This is from Val Smith 9297. How long can topsoil sit before it's no good to use? That's a really, really, really good question. Let me explain it this way. Soil needs to stay alive in order for it to be good for a garden or anything like that. If you were to take really, really good topsoil and put it in, say, the Nevada desert or the Arizona desert in the hot July sun and let it just cook and bake, all right? After about a couple of weeks, even if it's just a few inches thick, it's going to be so dry, so dead that it's almost going to be worth nothing. And so really, really good soil has a lot of good organic matter in it. And organic matter helps retain moisture in the soil. If you've done any research about the Great Dust Bowl in the United States after the Great Depression, they just tilled and harvested everything they possibly could, but they didn't put anything back into the soil to help retain that nutrient density in the soil. And we had that Great Dust Bowl. And so soil is something that you have to maintain. So soil is something you have to feed. Soil is something that you can't let die. It's just like growing a plant. You're growing a plant in something that is alive. Jim Carrey did a great episode a long time ago on Living Color, and it was called a juicer, the juice, whatever. You research Jim Carrey juicer, and he takes the celery out of the plant. He says, why go for the celery? Go for the jugular. And he takes the whole thing of soil and puts it in his juicer, grinds it up and drinks it. And he goes, that's why I stay alive. And it's really kind of a pun, really fun little comedy, but he's right. All the live action of anything is in the soil. So how long will it last? If you have a moist environment, like say Washington, Oregon, it lasts forever because it's constantly being fed moisture and rain. But if it's in Arizona or someone like that, you've got to constantly feed it grass, clippings, whatever, and a little bit of water, and just to keep that organic matter alive. And so if you don't keep it alive, it's going to die. I could talk forever on that subject, really, but it's a great question. David Parker, let's see here. Going to add my daughter. There's my daughter. There she is.
Hey.
David Parker says 2173 is filling a cavity with closed cell foam or closed cell insulation between the cement wall and the grout-filled CMU wall a viable idea? Let me think about that one. A closed cell insulation between a cement wall and a grout-filled CMU. I don't know. I do know that closed cell foam can build up pressure against that wall, meaning that I've seen people put that closed cell foam, and if you don't put the right kind in there, it can expand and it can actually affect the structural integrity of that wall. If you've ever seen those videos where they lift actual concrete slabs, that's with closed cell foam, and they squish it in there. As it expands, it lifts the slab and levels things out. So you got to watch out how it can affect the actual structural integrity, and you got to be careful of that. When I first started building, I thought it was cool to just do closed cell foam on all doors that I would put in, make it more solid and whatnot. But as it started to dry, it expanded, it bowed the doors. So now I just do the corners, boom, boom, and maybe a lid at the bottom. That's all I do for a little stability. But keep in mind that stuff has the capacity to just really expand out. So be careful there. And the other thing is it's closed cell, so it's not vapor permeable. It's a complete seal. So you can have moisture build up on one side and not know it and then have a problem. That might work better as a rain screen, or the CMU wall itself. You would seal that off. But if that was an omniblock wall, it'd be even perfect because you've got all the insulation inside that omniblock wall. And if it's above ground, I'd be more worried about water than insulation. You've already got the earth against it that's going to act as your insulator. If it's below ground, it kind of sounds like it is below ground, so I don't know. Anyway, it gives you a couple of thoughts on there and how to approach that. Just board and bat. Okay, just board and bat. Yeah, that. No, the door will go in there just flush with that, and you don't need to build that out because the board is gonna. Let me explain what board and bat is. You got a board, just a board, and then the bats. The bats are the strips that could be 1 inch, 2 inch thick. They go up and down vertically like that. So the board's going to come right up to that door, and then the bat or the trim. It's probably more like the trim because that could be wider, and that's going to come around the door as trim. So if you're buying a typical door from a box store, just take off the brick molding if you want, if you don't like it. And then you can trim that door with a better trim that's hardy material if you're doing bat and board hardy on that. I don't know if you are. And it would actually match with everything else you're doing. So I hope that answers your question for you. Let's see. Zen Ferguson. What are the pros and cons of using a mini split system for HVAC instead of traditional forced air? Does a mini split system last as long? Can a mini split system have parts fixed? Yeah, there's pros and cons to it. In a lot of homes that I do, especially large custom homes, it's really costly to run the home on a full forced air system or even 2 forced air systems. I'm doing a home right now that will have a major forced air system on the main level, some mini splits up above, and I think it's a forced air system on the basement. And the reason why they wanted to do that is because certain family members like to have different temperatures in their bedroom. Like my wife loves to go to bed in a cold room, as cold as possible. And I like that too. I just don't like waking up into a cold bedroom. And so the mini split allows you that comfort control that you really can't get. You can get with forced air, but it's very costly. It's very expensive to do that. And some of the more expensive forced air systems are all PVC systems. They're not even, they don't have the insulated duct systems. They just have PVC systems, about 2-inch PVC, and they run that through behind the walls, and they force that into the bedroom. And then they have all these flappers that control the temperature and flow and all that. Very costly. So a mini split gives you that comfort control without the huge cost. And yeah, they can be easily fixed. I had one Reese, I had a pump go out on one and he replaced it just, about $200, $300, $400, not that bad, because he replaced a lot of other things on it. But they're accessible. They're not buried in the walls somewhere. They're all right there, either in the ceiling or right on the wall. And you never have to dig into the wall for anything because that condensate line, that never gets changed out. It's just a unit inside and the unit that condenser on the outside. That's it. Those things pretty much last forever. I see those condensers last for even longer than the inside unit. And they've come a long way. There's a lot of neat designs that are floor designs, ceiling designs, wall designs. Some are so buried you don't even know they're there. They don't look ugly. And so they've come a long way. So there's a lot of pros there. Okay. Or do you have to replace a whole mini split when it breaks? If you do have to replace it, you're not digging into the walls. You're just taking it off the wall, taking it out of the ceiling, and putting a new unit right on. That's all. The line set that's in the wall, that's there forever. It never has to change. Okay. Okay, let's go to Care Bear soccer player. Care Bear? Yeah, Care Bear soccer player. That's cool. Have you ever had your roofer do soffit vents? I don't know. Kinsey, maybe you can answer that one with some of the flat roofs that you've done over a long period of time. How about you?
On flat roofs? No. Not on flat roofs, Dad. Oh.
You got to turn it on.
Oh, I thought I did.
I'll let her figure that out. I'll answer the question while she's figuring out her. And when you do figure it out, just say, "Can you hear me?" And I'll say yes. Have you ever had your roofer do soffit vents? I've changed my mind quite a bit on soffits, and I'm leaning towards controlled ventilation. So my most concern is in a roof that doesn't have ventilation so it can stop the expansion and contraction of the roof. And I only do ridge vents, but I don't necessarily have vents in the soffit, especially if I'm doing mountain homes. If I'm doing mountain homes, I just have a roof vent. That's it. So on a really, really hot day, when it's very rare that they have a hot day, the heat inside there can expand and it has a way to go. It's not vented, but it has a way to expand out through the vent.
Can you
And
hear
then
me
it
now?
keeps and saves the roof. One of the biggest terrible things for asphalt shingles is not to have a vented roof. You have to have a vented roof for asphalt shingles because the expansion and contraction tears at the nails, and it tears at the felt and also at the asphalt shingle itself. And that's what destroys those roofs.
Can you hear me?
So again, it depends on the roof you do. Metal roofs are different. Aluminum roofs are even more different than galvanized roofs. And so because I put aluminum shingles on a lot of my roofs, that's a radiant barrier. So it's keeping heat out automatically out of the roof. It's keeping that roof already at a cool temperature. So I don't have to ventilate it nearly as much. So again, I've changed my mind on a lot of this, and a lot of it has to do with fires. I don't like the vents coming in the eaves, the embers. And I've seen several homes, probably a dozen homes in this community. And I have eyewitnesses that saw that the house burnt from the top down. They got into the attic structure, went in there, the embers, and because there's this high wind coming up through the attic eaves, it burns inside the attic. And what's inside the attic? Dry timbers. And they start on fire, and the house is burned from the top down. So even in California, they've made venting in the eaves illegal in a lot of areas. And so it's just that top ridge vent for stop the excessive expansion of the roof during hot and cold situations. So long way to explain it, but it's not a universal truth for all environments. It's just an approach I'm attacking, being in a high fire risk area and building in a mostly cold climate now. I build in both desert and cold climates and high altitude climates. So I approach it differently. But right now, that's my approach for a mountain community. So very cold mountain community. Any concern? That's probably in addition to it. Let's see this one. Do you have any experience with adding LVLs to 2x8 floor joists? Yes, I do. I've done that a lot. LVLs are what you call structural material. They are better, far superior to cut lumber. And in fact, engineers will prefer that you actually build and do that. Let me get my dog. She's scratching the hell out of my door. All right. I let her in. She's always, let's see, let me see if I can add. Okay, I've unmuted you, Kenzie.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I've unmuted you, so I don't know why I don't hear you.
Can you hear me?
She's trying to talk, but I don't hear her there. Let's go to the next one here. And I want to talk about some stuff here. On that LVLs, yes, go ahead. Use those. Those are going to be much better for the floor. It's going to quiet the floor, and it's going to be more rigid, a lot more rigid than cut lumber. So if you can do that, do that. If the other thing's better is an engineered floor truss, but it's harder to get those into an existing build. But the LVLs are easier. For added support, yeah. David Parker 2173. How many inches of staggered mineral wool is required to keep flammable materials fire safe under it? You know something? Take a piece of 1-inch mineral wool, take a torch to it, and sit it on there for a long time. I think you'd be better off with like an 1.5 inches. And in my research, an 1.5 inches is probably the optimal size before you get too small, too thin. 1 inch might be okay. And I've seen torches sit on mineral wool that's 1 inch thick and it doesn't go through, but you can see the glow on the other side. And I'm certain that glow on the other side would probably affect sheeting or something. But if you had 1 inch in the thick, 1.5 inches, that's going to slow it down substantially. I don't know what the hour fire rating is for mineral wool. I just know it doesn't spread. It doesn't catch on fire. It doesn't have anything like that. So it's fire retardant and fire fireproof, basically. Okay. So any cons of putting in mini splits? Yeah, if you put, they can look ugly. That's the con. I don't like wall mount units, and my daughter's shaking her head on that one. They just, my wife and I went to a Puerto Vallarta a couple of years ago, and they had them everywhere because they can't do swamp coolers and they can't do forced air. They do mini splits because they can only afford to keep one room cool. And they were all dirty and they were on the walls, and a lot of them were struggling, but they've come a long way. And you now can find some units that come up through the floor. Some units come through the ceiling. They're not as unattractive. They're now attractive. And so now you're in a better situation than probably 10 years ago. The only ones that came out about 10 years ago were about the Mitsubishi ones. They advertised those pretty hefty, and they called it the Mitsubishi suitcase. They called them, it looks just like a suitcase outside your house, and it's a Mitsubishi unit, and it's a mini split system. But the only con is that after that, they used to look ugly. They don't look as ugly anymore. The only real con is, and I don't know if they've changed this with the technology, is that if one unit in one room is on cool mode for cool, all of them have to be on the same mode. If one tries to change the mode and go on heat and one's on cool, then the whole system gets turned off. Now, some of them might have changed that down the road, but that's the only thing you have to keep in mind. It's kind of weird. I wish they would change that, but that changes the dynamics of the vent on the outside being utilized for the condenser. And so it only functions a certain way in a certain mode. And when all rooms are changing mode, it just gets confused and it shuts down. Maybe they'll be able to change that. Maybe have a unit with different fans inside it so it can dial up and dial down. But the pros are you can actually heat only the rooms you need, and it's a lot more efficient, and people have all the controls of comfort that they want. My mom has them in the front of her house, and she keeps the front room a little warmer. She keeps her bedroom a lot cooler. And the front bedroom for guests, she just keeps it turned off until somebody comes and visits her. So it's really, really cool. Okay. Can we hear Kinsey? They're wondering if they can.
Dad, you need to turn your volume on.
All right. I can call you. Call me on the phone, sweetie, and I'll put you on here.
Mackenzie.
There we are. We can hear you now.
Dad, you just need to turn your volume on your computer.
It is on.
Can you? No.
I hear you now.
You can hear me now?
We can hear you now.
You just had to turn your volume on your computer.
Okay. That's great. Great. I'm happy about that. It's getting dark outside. Okay, let's go to the next. We got a lot of questions here. We got to jump through some of these. Val Smith, 9293. We can hear you both. Maybe Keith, turn on your volume. I did. That's smart. Brady Morgan. Brady sounds like someone I know. I don't recognize the face, but I know somebody by that name. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Been snowing all day up here. Wow. I wouldn't doubt that. Okay. Yes. Okay. We can, Kinsey. We can hear you. Let me get through these here. The audience can hear both of you. Awesome.
Dad has technical difficulties sometimes.
Okay, I'm going to let Kinsey read this one. I'm going to let her answer this one.
Any experience installing bifold doors? Anything to pay attention to? I honestly have not installed any bifold doors. Are you talking mostly on a closet? That's where I've seen them the most. And on our closets, we'll just do the double doors. We won't do the bifold doors anymore. Like I said, like in the past 5 years, I have not installed any bifold doors. So it's always the double door. And that's kind of what I prefer because I feel like the bifold doors, something always goes wrong and they kind of break down over time. What do you think, Dad? We haven't installed any bifolds.
We avoid them because they take up space inside the closet that's unusable, and they take up space in the living space that's not usable. So bypass is better than bifold.
Yeah.
Bypass,
I still just like the double doors that you just open.
yeah,
I don't even like the bypass doors.
yeah, yeah. Bypass makes it hard too. When it opens up wide, that's pretty cool. But
Hmm.
it depends on the layout you have and the functionality of it. But
Yeah.
and the other thing is with a bifold doors, you have to have a track system down on the floor.
Yeah.
And there's some
I
that,
would prefer a pocket door before doing that probably.
yeah, that's true. I prefer a pocket door over that. So
Mhm.
good question. OOB using GC for advice on sub-referrals. I believe you are doing this with a client right now. What is better, a set fee to oversee the project or cost plus, and what percentage would be fair? I don't know what you mean by OB. What does that mean?
OB.
OB. What that means? O or B, using a GC, owner builder. We're dumb. Owner builder using a GC for advice on sub referrals. I believe you are doing this with a client right now. I've done that quite a bit. What is better, a set fee to oversee the project or a cost plus, and what percentage would be fair? You know, it depends on the situation. I can see where it's beneficial here and there and not beneficial in a lot of other areas. It depends on how much insight they're going to give you. And if
Or
you need,
how involved they're going to be during the project as well.
are you going to cash flow this yourself, and do you need a GC with the bank? That's probably the most important question. If the bank needs a GC, then you're going to have to go with that GC using their referrals and maybe have a fee that you work out to. But the fee itself, general contractors go bankrupt when they go 10% or below. We have,
unless it's commercial.
and so unless it's commercial and then it's massive square footage, it's a different beast. But the typical GC fee is never below 10, but upwards of 18 to 23%, but between 10, 12, 13, 15%. I fluctuate in that area based upon the complexity of the build, the distance where it's at, stuff like that. And so I'm about that mid-range between the two. So others, when they first come out, when I first became a builder, I was undercutting myself and charging 7%. I was losing my shorts, but I wanted to get work. But I put myself in a bad situation. And
I think to answer that question though, too, I think a set fee is the best when you're just using them for advice, because it's hard as a builder to, whenever you get a call from, like Dad, whenever you get a call from a student and to, okay, how do I track my hours? How do I track my time that I've put into this project or stuff like that? And then the percentage of it, it's like, that doesn't seem quite fair to me if he's just giving advice and referrals and not running the project. So I really do think the most fair thing is just a set fee. And if he's going, if the general is going above and beyond the scope, maybe charging extra for that. But I still think a set fee is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, some builders do a set fee of, if it's a high-end home, they'll do a set fee of a flat fee. Me, I'm a cost plus builder.
No, but the question is just for an owner builder using a GC for advice and sub referrals.
Are you in the program? Are you taking this self-managed course? If you are, and you don't need a bank, then you don't need a GC at all. If you go through that course and you take a first steps course and you take the self-managed course, and to be honest with you, I've had a lot of students just call me in for a simple 1 hour consult. And that 1 hour consult really saved the bacon for them. And I've had students do that 2 or 3 times during some hiccup issues. I walked them through it. I had one call me a week and a half ago, almost in tears. I won't give any details on it, but just almost in tears. I was able to calm her down and get her focused and work through the whole situation. She thought the whole build was gone, but it's not. Look at it specifically, step by step. So those consults work great, and rather than the full GC consult, which is a lot more money. And I have students who choose that too, because they want to be able to text me anytime they want during the week time. And so if you don't need a GC for the bank, don't go for a GC. I'm there as a consult. Just the 1 hour consults, do it and take the self-managed course, and you'll save a lot of money. You'll save tens of thousands of dollars. And if you want that back in your home, then that's what I'd recommend you do. But it all depends on whether or not the bank, or if you need lending, or if you actually need a GC on the job side based upon lending only. Hope that answers your question. Okay, we get through these. I'm getting behind. When you first became a general contractor, did people doubt you? How did you stay patient in business? Well, maybe Kinsey can answer this. She remembers when she was a little kid.
I don't remember that well. I think when we first started out, the jobs were just small. They were just very simple, small jobs, and they were friend referrals. So I mean, I don't think people ever doubted you, but when we first started, it was just small little ones and twos here and there.
Yeah, it's I took some jobs I wish I didn't take. That's the hardest thing. I took a remodel job once where they were living in it, and they told me they weren't going to live in it, but they were actually living in it. It turned out to be a nightmare. It was so hard. Kinsey was a little baby girl at the time, and I was there every day trying to make them happy, but they were just unhappy. And so you can't, one of the things here, I doubted myself because these people were constantly unhappy, but that's because I put myself in a situation that actually made that to be the case. And now if I do remodels, which is very rare, I'll do a remodel that's $1.2 million, if you can believe that. But they're not living in the home at all. And then I learned new construction because I worked in the industry for such a long time. I mainly do new construction. If I do remodel, it's such an old home that needs saving, or it's such a major restoration project, and it calls for my imagination. I like doing those, but I doubted myself because I put myself into a position that would cause me to doubt, and you don't want to do that. So how did you stay patient in business? I've learned, you just keep learning. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I was just going to say, just for me, when I did my first home, it was, and I'm a girl, and I did my first home and I was 21, just some young kid, and the supers. And I even remember the homeowners like, are you sure? Like what? And it's just having that pause. You just got to stay positive and have a good attitude. You're going to mess up, and you just need to own up to your mistakes and just make things right. And I think people really appreciate that when you're not always putting the blame on others, but just owning up to a mistake and just always making things right and having a good attitude, especially to subs, and asking questions. And yeah, it's just, construction is a constant learning and new experiences like every time. So the first year is hard to stay patient, but as long as you just continue with that positive attitude, it gets easier, and you build those relationships with your subs too, and it just gets better and better each year.
Yeah, I would have to say that. Ditto. We could talk forever on that one, couldn't we, sweetie?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Great question. David Parker, does inner and outer mineral wool boards still have to have rain screen breathers for moisture control? It's a question relevant to your environment. If your environment that is a high humid, high rain environment, you might have some issue there. You might have a dimple screen behind the mineral wool. No matter what, you just can't put mineral wool right on raw sheeting. You have to have something behind that. And once you have something behind that, the mineral wool acts as a rain screen in a way. It just goes right on the side. It doesn't absorb moisture. It just beads right off. It just goes right down through it. So, and it dries off pretty quick. But if you're in a high rain, high moisture environment, the weather barrier you put on your sheeting before you put on your insulation, that's going to change. And you may end up putting a dimple mat, and that's a rain screen. Just research a dimple mat for exterior sheeting, and you'll see all kinds of products that are out there for that. You'll see what I'm talking about. And the insulation goes against that, but because it's a dimple mat, there's air pockets in it, and the rain can actually fit right down through it. If it does get through the insulation, it's going to be a rain screen, and it's going to go right down through it. But I've never put anything on the outside because that's a synthetic material. If there's a fire, if there's a problem, I don't want that on the outside of the insulation. I want that behind the insulation. So hope that answers your question. Sliding glass doors. That's probably an answer to something else. Prime time Peyton. Hi guys, I've heard several contractors saying they'd never let a builder buy the lumber. Can you talk about that? You want to talk about that, Kins?
That seems weird. I don't. Well, for us, how we do it is our framer orders the lumber, but it's billed to us. So we're not specifically, unless it's one of our own specs and we're shopping around at different lumber yards. You do that, Dad. But our framer orders our lumber, but it's not part of his scope and budget. So we're in charge of putting that number together, and our framer he orders it through our supplier, but the bills come directly to us. So our framer is on our account, and he just orders it as he needs the lumber package or miscellaneous material. So
I think what they might mean
what did they mean?
I've heard several contractors, I think subcontractors, saying they'd never let a builder buy the lumber.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so that would mean the framer would be buying the lumber.
You don't want the framer buying the lumber.
And yeah.
You want to stay away from that. And I'm going to tell you why.
You want to control costs as much as you can, pretty much.
And you can't control them if you can't see them.
Yep.
So if they're hidden, you're not going to see the cost. You want to see everything transparent. The only subcontractors that have huge supplies where they will order the supplies, they'll maybe order something in advance for some money so they can purchase the supplies, is maybe some roofing, siding, concrete. There's a couple of others as well. They'll ask for an initial down so they can get some materials delivered there. But you never want to have your framer order lumber. And I've seen a lot of bids from students that would send me estimates where they were ordering the lumber and they were doing the labor to do the framing in the same bid. And when that happens, that bid is always changing. And there's all these caveats in there, and you don't know. So when we get our lumber packages bid from a professional lumber yard, and it's been pretty accurate, although I know where they are with numbers and I tweak it a little bit here and there. And then I it's ready to go. And I tell my framer, I go, here you go. He has numbers to all my sales supplies guy. He calls him, says, we're ready from basement package. And then he calls them the next day. Can you sell us the main floor? And they've got it broken down in that way. They can break it down. It's not that hard. And then he also calls the truss plant and gets it delivered right there on the job site when he's ready. And the biggest problem I see with subs running all that is they get it all delivered at once, and they have an overage, quite a bit of overage. And then they let trusses sit in the weather for an extended period of time. And then it's not fun trying to install them after they're warped. So take control of that. You don't need to have anyone else take control of that.
I just think, in my personal opinion, the more that you can be in control of costs and material, and the better you'll be. You won't have that markup too if your subcontractor ordered it. So yeah.
Somebody said laugh out loud. Okay, very good. Owner builder. Okay, let's see if I can get to some of these. Let's see. I think I skipped. There we are. Hit the like button. Invaluable content. We appreciate that. Prime time. Brady Briller. I agree with the set fee. That what I would do for console work. Easier for everyone involved. Just got to be clear on what will be done and by who.
Yep.
Okay. I agree with the set fee. You hit that people. People will always doubt you when you are new and don't have track record. Just remind them that even experienced builders make mistakes, but as a new builder, you are working extra hard to build represent.
Yep. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And my analogy is you can go to the doctor and the doctor can deliver a baby and the baby can have a cleft lip and you're going to love the baby and all that. You're not going to complain to the doctor. But when it's a builder, they complain about everything. So they didn't line out right. And we're supposed to be better than God. Perfect beyond compare. So get ready for that. And you want to be able to attract clients that have your nature, that have, you don't want to, if you're living in a scarcity minded situation and you're afraid, and if you don't take work, you're going to lose and not going to be able to provide for your family, you start taking jobs that you should not have taken in the first place. I've been able to say no in the past couple of years on a lot of clients. I had one that wanted me to come to Arizona badly. I had one that wanted to come to me in Kanab really bad, and they were just emailing me. And I got a sense that it wasn't a good relationship because they thought something about me that's not true. When we manage a build, we manage it efficiently because we have people we trust, and it's taken us a long time to build trust. Like today, was it today or yesterday? I saw Wilbur, right, Kinsey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen Wilbur in probably a year and a half, and he came up to me and shook my hand and gave me a hug. And I said, "What's up, Wilbur? What'd you do this for?" He goes,
and it's because I normally see Wilbur because he's our towel guy and I do the finishes. That's why you are at job sites. You made it sound like you don't go to job sites because you haven't seen him in a year. It's because I see him.
Well, I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
The reason why he gave me a hug is he said, "Keith, I wanted to thank you because you gave me my first job. When I started doing work, you gave me my first job." And that was the Heart Home. Remember that one, Kinsey?
Oh, yeah.
He did the tile work on that. And then the grout that he put on stained the actual tile and made it look gray. And the clients mentioned it. And he says, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to bust it out. And you go pick something you like and we'll install it." And he did. And he's been that kind of person ever since. But I didn't know that was his first job.
Yeah.
And so, but I've known how good he is and has been for us over the years. Even if he has his own guys that he sends to the job, I can trust it, and he'll go in there and repair it and fix it if anything needs fixing. So it's that trust in the people we have. And I was talking with a builder, and he says, I was looking to come to St. George, and he was a little older than me, but he says, "I'm just going to stay where I'm at." And I go, "That's curious why?" And he goes, "You know why. It's going to take me at least 5 years to build up a rapport with subcontractors."
Mm-hmm.
And how long has it taken us, Kins?
Long time.
And we've changed in and changed out, and we're always getting the ones that work better with our personality. And so I want to cut to the chase here. If you order my book, The 3 People to Fire and the 3 People to Hire, it's on Amazon under Keith Kelsch. That book will really, really help you. And you don't forget your core principle. And my core principle is care. If they care about what they do, then that is invaluable to me because that comes right into the product that they produce for me. And I'm always looking for that in their personality and the work they do and their communication. That book really would help you out with that. But if you know what your core principle is and you dial in on it real quick with people, that's great. That's great leadership. But if you don't know what that is and you don't know what to look for, you need to study that out and start working with people and studying people, and you'll pick people apart pretty quick. So you're going to be a good psychoanalyst by the time you build your first home. King's English, do inner and outer mineral wool boards. My bad. Okay, no problem. That's fine. Got to get the perfect wall. Yep. Does $650K for a 2,550 square foot home seem decent? Run the numbers on that, Kenzie.
That is. Oh my gosh, why? So what is, okay, how do you do math? It's
650,000 divided by 2,550.
2550. 254. Is that right? 254 square foot?
Yeah.
That's really good.
That's pretty good, not bad. If you have the land already paid for, that would be even better for you. But if the land is part of that, then that can be on the low side. So I don't know if you've got that land situation squared away. I don't know if you have utilities squared away and the excavation, the dirt work and all that. But anything I've seen owner builders today do below 200, it's not easy. It's really brutal. And they're there every day. They're cleaning every day. They're taking up slack. They're doing some of the work themselves. It's really, really hard. I remember back in the day when owner builders would work to get under $100 a square foot. And that was a lot of work. That's what we did very close to a home I built years and years ago, 25 years ago. But now it's under 200,000. If you're going to try to do that under 200, it's really brutal. And it's, you have to take a lot more responsibility. You can see why builders are quoting between 250. I've built homes north of $1,200 a square foot, if you can imagine that. I'm building stuff that's $300 and $400 and $600 and $800 a square foot. So it varies. And so when you're trying to take on a build and you're trying to keep it at a low cost, your design is going to be influenced by that. Your approach to selections is going to be entirely different. It's really, really a different beast. So that's about the low end before it gets to be tough on you, even more tough. Okay. But it's not bad. Brady Morgan, as a framer, I do prefer ordering lumber myself because I know what I need and I have the relationships with the suppliers. As a builder now, I prefer ordering myself for the same reasons. And the answer is always me.
Yep.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah, good way to put it.
Yep.
Species of spaces. Did I say that right? I hope so. As an owner builder, I would always buy the lumber, but have the framer and lumber yard work to figure out the amount. Seems to work, but our lumber yard also takes back lumber so long as it's not cut. Yeah, and they do charge us restocking fee. Some of them find out what that restocking fee is. I had a job where I actually hired a company. Actually, I didn't pay them. They did it for free because I was trying out how they work. And they're still available on the download section in the program, How to Build Your Own Home. But they do cost breakdown, not cost breakdowns, but they do estimating on cut sheets, cut lumber, and all that kind of stuff. And I used their sheet, and I wanted to see how it would come out. I ended up taking back 3 trailer loads of lumber. Wasn't even close. So I work closely with I'll get the lumber package from my local dealer, my local lumber yard. And then I'll work with my framer and says, okay, we're missing some stuff. And then he'll add some stuff. And I found that more lumber yards, when they do give you a breakdown, there's not enough there. But if you do some third party, they'll overage too much. And then you're up a wazoo, and then you're paying 15, 20% restocking fee. So why do you need that? And lumber is not that great. I see a build just down the street from me. And I went by it, and they had 25 2x4s just sitting strewn in the mud. 10 sheets, 10, I counted them, 10 sheets of OSB sheeting in really good shape, but had just been sitting in the mud. And there's hundreds of dollars. And I did a video a long time ago, probably 3 years ago, and I stopped by a job site, and they had the home was framed, but they had all this lumber, probably equal to 2 bunks of lumber. If you know what a bunk is, it's like 3.5 feet tall and by 8 feet wide. 2 massive bunks of lumber just sitting there in the heat, just doing its thing in the heat. And that's thousands of dollars. And so that's your biggest cost savings, is getting on top of that. Don't let them waste. In a bad environments, rain, I've seen framers.
Dad, we have 5 minutes left. Do you want to see if there's other questions?
Yeah, I'll end it with this. I've seen people.
You could go on forever about lumber and process.
I could literally drone on forever, and I won't do that. But I've seen way too much waste. I'm building in rural Utah. Very hard to find competitive subs. What do you mean by competitive? Is it the price you're looking for, or is it the quality you're looking for? If it's the quality, you should find them. But if it's the price you have in your mind, yeah, it's going to be hard to find them. Keep in mind quality, time, cost. I forgot that recently. My daughter had to remind me, right, Kins? On a recent issue we had, I went straight to cost. I thought I was going to haul it up and do it all myself, and it was a nightmare. And I wasn't focusing on quality, time, and then cost. Always in that order, but together. Never ignore time, because if you think you're going to do something because you're going to save money, how much time does it really take? I'll end it there.
Yes.
The next one. Is having a truck necessary for a new build of owner contractor? It helps.
It's not necessary though, but it helps.
But it helps.
But back to your thing about, never mind. I'm not going to talk about it. But it is a nice tool, but you don't need a truck to be a general contractor.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my dad in that mindset to just let people do their job, but he likes to just step in and try and do everything too.
Not bad. I'm getting away from that. Okay. Ada Esther GT. I've been a GC for years, but didn't really practice. Now I'm finally working as a GC, and the pressure is high for sure. Yes, it is.
Yep.
Take a deep breath at night. Keep coming to our thing, and we'll relax you. And we'll
don't answer texts after like 6 o'clock.
And never answer a text on a Sunday. Just don't even bother. Okay. And they'll get the wind of it. Yeah. And if you want to do Saturdays, do it too. Species of space. As owner builder, I always spot the lumber and have the framer and trusted person at the lumber yard do the takeoffs. Yes. Yep. Yes. Yep. 25.4.91. Yep. You ran the numbers.
Yeah. I messed up. That's what the number I got, but I don't think I said that.
That 24 seems high. It does seem high for owner builder, but it's not high for a builder. And it's not high for a developer. A developer would be even higher than that. Okay?
Yeah. The 254 square foot, that's really good if you're buying that home, but it is a little high if you're the builder. Yeah. Not paying a GC fee.
The MA Pearl, hi, I'm looking for foundation and concrete. It says most of them are listed as repairs. Seems they would know how to do a new construction as they fix all. I'll just make this one comment. The subcontractors you find online are mainly service call guys, electricians, HVAC, plumbers. That's how they make their bread and butter, by little fix-it jobs. All right. Mm-hmm. The real subcontractors are not advertising. It's strictly word of mouth. So you've got to go to a builder association or a realtor association and go to supply houses and get names and numbers from people that way. We have a framer that you cannot find anywhere online. Is that right, Kins?
Yeah.
We have 2 framers that you cannot find anywhere online, and they're the best ever, but you have to find them through networking. And I've made a lot of comments on networking.
That's a good one that you mentioned, though, going to supply houses and asking them who some of their clients are. I didn't even think about that besides networking, but yeah, if you go to a concrete yard and be like, who are some of your concrete guys who order concrete from you? That's a great way to get subs numbers.
Yep. That's where I got a plumber that way one time. It was pretty good. I met our plumber, Kolf, met at Standard Plumbing, Kins.
Oh, there you go.
A Scare Bears source soccer player. Have you used Allure siding? Any thoughts? No, I have not. So I haven't any thoughts on that. We'll have to research that and find out.
Allure siding.
If it's plastic or vinyl, I stay away from it.
Is it the cement board? Because I think we have.
Yeah, if it's cement board, we probably have. Where's Melissa? She is in.
She's in Disneyland, and she ditched us.
Yeah, she
didn't even take us.
She's taking her sister to Disneyland. She's got a sister with some special needs, really sweet spirit, and she just took her to Disneyland and give her some time on one-on-one time with her sister. So that's where Melissa is.
Yep.
Let's take a couple more questions and we'll end it here. Time, quality, cost is such an important concept to understand. It's hard. We keep breaking it every once in a while, but thank you for bringing that up. And did it take a while to get consistent backlog of work? I'm doing small jobs right now and trying to stay positive. The future will bring better things. Just keep at it. when you're small like that, you end up taking a lot more care and showing up, and you'll build up those references and all that kind of stuff. And pretty soon you'll have 30, 40 references on Google and whatnot. But just be persistent at it. And then when you're starting off new, you have to have a trade in your belt. And it could be as simple as cleaning, but if it's electrical or concrete or excavation, something, if you have something in your belt, you can control costs, make a little extra while you're doing it. And if you're younger, you can take on those extra skill sets. As you get older, it's harder. So for all those that want to be a contractor, start as early as you can. Take on some skill sets, work as an apprentice in something somewhere, and then move into the GC situation so you have a leg in something where you can pick up a lot of work. I've known a lot of people in the trades where they do service calls for this, but they'll do new construction as well. And you have to create multiple verticals for yourself. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Let's just take a couple more breaths. I just want to say, not a fan of the split streams with one for mobile and one regular. Having the chat split, let's see, where is that? Having the chat split up breaks up the community discussion. Just my 2 cents. Okay. I don't know what the split stream. Oh, I see what he's talking about. Okay. Let's take one more question here and then we'll end it for the night. Most of my subs have zero online presence. They strictly work with builders. Yep. All right. And if you're a sub, I could be in any trade, you're going to have 3 to 5 different subcontractors. I have a new concrete guy who came on board, and he did research about me, and he says, I like Kinsey, so that's why I came and did the work. And so Kinsey brought a contractor on board because she helps out with another builder. And because of that, that's why he came on board. But he's not online. You can't find him anywhere. But his communication is stellar. I texted him today, and he says, great, that's awesome. We'll get you on the schedule. So that's where these guys are hiding. And you can find them. You just have to learn how to network. And to be honest with you, I have a good website for my business, but all my referrals come from my YouTube channel. None of them come from the network that I have within my community. They come from the network that I have online. And people, I'm building a home because somebody was researching how to build a deck, and they saw my video on decks, and voila, I got a build across the valley. Another person, really kitty corner from me, had his house burned down, and he wanted to find out how to build a house that will not burn down. Voila, he saw my home, saw my video, and that's how he got hired. And it's that word of mouth. But my word of mouth is online. It is YouTube, all that kind of stuff. But you'll build it locally, and don't ignore a local presence online. Work on that and you'll make it happen. Let's end it right there. We'll be here. One person said yes. Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll be here next week from 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We've just got 2 more meetings, I believe, for this year. Then we're off for the 2 weeks for the holiday, and then we start back up in January. So keep that in mind. Have all your questions ready. And so every once in a while, I'll get emails. Just contact the instructor at How to Build Your Own Home and say your question there. I will be able to answer it here, and then you can come back on a replay. We'll have hundreds of people, hundreds that will come back, even thousands that will come back and listen to these after the fact because they can't be here on a Thursday night. But if, again, go to How to Build Your Own Home, take the First Steps course, take the Self-Managed course. It's all there, the information you need. And it's very, very effective. The best program out there. So thanks, Kinsey and Keith, for a great weekend. And I thank you again for others. I appreciate it, everyone. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.